Well, it's time for me to get up and get ready for Christmas. Hold on, what is this? Oh no, you know what that means? I go check my art desk! What the heck? Oh, that's why.
It's been a while since I've uploaded my last video, Dragons. Jesus, it had been how long? But I'll just cut to the chase and show you Laguna here, plus a Cleo here, and that's all she wrote. So here I have two lovely dolls here, one lovelier than the other. What shall I turn these two dolls into today? And you can probably guess why this video took so long to make. So after staring longly into Cleo's eyes for so long, it was time for me to get to work on Laguna because I needed to get rid of that hair. Good God, girl, this hair looked awful on her. Am I the only one that doesn't like what the company did to Laguna's hair? I mean, okay, look. I will admit that I never grew up with Monster High dolls.
You what?
I grew up with Barbies, Godzilla, Transformers, and oh my god, that explains a lot about me. I was only introduced to Monster High dolls with doll customization videos here on YouTube. So, yeah. I really don't know where this is going. But here where I'm going with this, I've seen the original Laguna doll from Gen 1. I even have a Gen 1 doll to compare. See? The difference? And after seeing this comparison from the Gen 1 to Gen 3, yeah, I'm basically cutting her hair off with 100%. Am I the only one that liked old Laguna hair color better than the new one they gave her? Or is it just me? Anyways, beside the strange hair situation, it's time for me to move on to my strange fascination with Laguna hair. I mean, Cleo's hair next. Look at this hair. It's so nice. I like this hair on Cleo's head. And it makes me so sad that I have to cut it all off. Cleo hair is so nice that I'm going to keep it for a future project. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, most dolls have no hair anymore. What next?
Oh, I know!
Yes, I almost forgot. Well, I didn't forget. I was trying to make a joke here. Let's just move on to the face-up on these dolls. There we go. I need to remove the head from the body so I can remove the hair plugs. What's that? I don't hear anything. What the? Get the fudge out of here! Man, I really hate this step of the whole doll process. I'll save you guys from my complaint and move on to the working on the dolls. Man, who shall I work on first? Well, I need to shrink the head, which I did off camera. You know, shrinking these dolls' head are really stubborn. More stubborn than Gen 1 dolls. And I would rather shrink a Gen 1 doll than a Gen 3 doll. So while I was fighting with the heads off camera, I decided to work on Cleo first, of which now I shall start calling her Levia, because this is who I'm going to be turning her into. I start off with Levia by standing everything down from factory number, marking, and prints onto her body. I also did the same thing with Laguna, of whom I shall start calling her Renna. And I wanted to take a quick moment to show the shrinking process, and Levia's head is much bigger than Renna's. Don't worry, Levia's head starts shrinking. I used the quick method on these dolls, which I found to be much quicker than the slow method. Oh, don't worry about Jeremy in the background. He's in a different video, which is already up on my channel. Go check it out, link in the description. So anyways, I went back and decided that it was the best time to chop off Levia's leg.
This seemed like a good idea.
Not your own foot, you dumb fuck.
And I proceeded to cut off even more because it's a very smart thing to do. Then I forgot to hit the record button for the next part, and now you'll never know the reason why Levia's leg was cut off. What are you doing?
I forgot to hit record. Besides, I'm not really drinking it. They had the lid on to see if...
Okay, I'll explain why I wanted to cut Leva's legs off in a little bit. First, let's move on to the head modification. Wait, what the fudge? Does this video seem like it's going fast for ya? Hopefully not. And while I'm working on the head, I'll briefly tell you why I wanted to cut Leva's legs like that.
Haha, you're short.
You're short too, so... What?
I wanted to have Leva a bit shorter than Renna because Renna is a tall queen and Leva is a small queen. We love our tall and short queens. Now time for me to... Okay, I must have been working on both dolls a lot off camera. Because this project is already long enough and I wanted to get through this video without making any more mistakes. So ha ha ha. So now it's time for me to start working on Leva's sculpting process. And I have to use this freaking dumb pieces of shit. So I sculpted the rest of this doll and stopped halfway because I realized I needed to work on the face up. I wrapped this doll in a cozy burrito and got to work. I sprayed the doll down with paint and of course 3 layers of Mrs. Super Clear and started the face up. Finally, now we can finally get to some painting. I started off with the body blushing with the face first because I find that the easiest to do, and once I was satisfied with the blushing, I move on to sketching out the eyes. I am very happy with how the eyes turn out. And this is before I got myself a kit of gouache paint. And once I finished with her eyes, I worked on her horn. Yeah, I'll be attaching her horn later, but don't get too attached to these horns. They're not staying for long.
So long. Have a nice trip. Grew up so fast.
After I finish painting and blushing the bot horns, I move on to protecting the doll face up from further damage so I can finish up the sculpting process. Oh, it's that time again when we move from painting back to sculpting and yada yada yada. And sadly, there'll be more of that throughout the video. Now, this next part I probably should have done with a Dremel tool, but I didn't want to pull that thing out. So I grabbed out a pokey thing, and of course, fire to start poking the doll with. You're a kid. Don't do this without an adult supervision next to you. Why do you think I get into trouble so much? If you're an adult like me, number 2, don't be an idiot. I mean, have a fire extinguisher right next to you or water. Because I was dumb enough to not have that. Don't be me. Also, do this in a well-ventilated area. I did this away from my pets and anybody else around me. And also wear a mask. Or just don't do this at all, whatsoever. This is not a good idea. And now I can see why my mom hated when I play with fire.
Dragon, let me see what you have!
A lighter!
No!
After the whole pokey danger fire thing is all done, it's time for me to start placing the wire into the rightful place. I need them there for the epoxy to hold onto something. And after spending an eternity on the whole process, it was finally time to add the epoxy to the feet. I did this in steps so I didn't keep messing up my process. So the first step was to not only engrave the wire into the doll, but to make sure everything stays in place and doesn't fall apart. Wait a minute, that's the same thing. And once I made sure nothing is going anywhere, I went ahead and added in detail onto her feet. And then I did the same thing on the other foot, off camera. And with all of that done, it's now time for the body blushing. The whole Wait a minute, where did those wires come from?
Well, I hope this doesn't cause me any problem in the future.
Okay, let's just let that slide for now. I need to work on the body blushing. So this was just simple enough. Because I had a plan of giving her clothes, I didn't have to blush the whole body. Well, that's sad. On the bright side, body blushing is almost done and there we go. Now time to paint her attire now. Which I didn't blush at this moment because I was lazy.
Get up and do stuff.
Can't. Thinking about my next project.
Say, remember the wire that had magically appeared on her backside? Well, now it's time to work on them, so I grabbed out the scotch tape and started working on them. I added the tape around the wire? Check. Then I added latex for the tail and wing? Check. And with all of that check, it's now time for me to let this whole thing dry and to work on some detail that I'm going to be adding on to the tail. I decided to sculpt the detail with glass clay because it's a very flexible clay, and after I bake, it won't break. Kind of. I thought it was a good idea. And after I sculpted and baked and painted the whole thing and also blushed everything, it's time for me to go ahead and check out tail and wing on the doll. Well, now time to throw in a towel.
Did you see that? Did you see that? I threw in the towel!
I gave it some thought, and I believe it was the wire that caused the tail to break in the first place. So I decided to destroy the wing and what remained of the tail and start it all over. But this time, I wanted to try something new, something I have never done before. Mold making! This ain't gonna go wrong at all. I sculpted the tail and wing with polymer clay off camera and made a mold with the tail. I used silicone molding that I found on Amazon, and everything is gonna go according to plan. Oh no, it broke. I broke the mold. What about making the wing? That wasn't difficult. Maybe this might work after all. Maybe, just maybe, I can finally do something for the first time without it breaking on me. Well, I decided to make the tail out of foil, aluminum foil and wire, and just go back to latex. That was short-lived. The reason why I decided to go back to this because, well, number one, I don't really know mold making all that very well. And number two, I didn't really have the money to kind of continue. So maybe in the future I'll try mold making again. But I will keep the silicone that I have already on me. Maybe I might use it for another project in the future. So with aluminum foil and wires and latex, it's time to whip up the tail and wing and get to work. I did the tail off camera because I was just testing out how to do it, and now I need to work on the wings. Wait, no, wrong wings! I did the same thing that I did with the tail, but with one difference. I added the membrane area of the wing, and this part was a little bit difficult, but I managed. Then I went ahead and painted and blushed the wing as well. Again, I'm going to regret this much later. Wings and tail are done. I did the other wing off camera, so now it's finally time to get her into an outfit that she so desperately deserves. But first, I need to make a pattern first. And this is the part that I really struggle with the most. The outfit. I'm not very good at making clothing, and pattern work, I'm not very good at that as well. I did my best. I struggled a lot. I glued most of this onto her body because I'm not taking it all off whatsoever. It's like building a cosplay and gluing it onto your body. That's a horrible idea. I even tried sewing part of her outfit onto her, but this was also a struggle. And I don't know what I'm gonna do in the future. I don't know if I'm gonna come back to this method or I'm just going to sculpt her outfit next time. I'm not a seamstress. I'm not someone that work with sewing or stuff. So let's just move on to her hair. Wait a minute. No, I need the glue on her horn. They seem very different.
Yes, very strange. Yes, I remember the horns looking very different the last time I saw them, which means... Guilty! The artist changed the horns up!
Yeah, I decided to redo her horns because I didn't like them originally, so I'm giving her some brand new horns. And after I gave her brand new horns, I even painted her a necklace because I sculpted her necklace around her neck.
The mystery is getting much bigger than
Would
I
you
thought.
stop that? At the same time, I started gluing in the detail on this doll, like gems, string, and I even glossed the toenails, eyes, and lips. I even did that to her nose. I don't know, I just like a glossy nose. I don't know why. Shut up about it. I like this detail. And finally, after everything I have done on this doll, it was time to do her hair. Finally! I wanted to try out the method that I saw April Rose Art did on her channel, where she mixed glue and water together to kind of do this, I don't know, anime look onto her doll's hair. I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, it's not the greatest that I did with her hair, but it's not terrible. But the more time I do this, the more time I'll get better at it. I just wish it was the way I wanted it, but it's not bad. I like it. And with that, after all the hard work, after 2 hours of gluing her hair down and working on her for months on end, Leva is finally done.
Ha! Finally, I can sit down on my bed and play on my Switch. Ha!
Please work on me.
You know what? I don't want to play on my Switch anymore. And I want to go on my phone and go on my social media. Which you guys can go ahead and check out my social media. Link in the description below. And also my YouTube banner. There's a link tree for all of my social media. But wait, there's more.
What am I doing? I also have a gaming channel where I actually play horror games. And generally video games in general. So if you like video games and you like horror, check out my gaming channel. Link down in the description below. Now it's time to move on to Renna's next. As I sanded down all of the factory stuff and extra details, just like how I did with Leva. And I'm also going to be adding the extra necessary things that I need onto Renna's head. And unlike Leva, who had just horns on her head, Renna has a big third eye on her forehead. And also lecus and stuff, because that's a smart thing to do.
And no, I didn't get listed doing it with the heck.
Now I'm doing it again with her legs, but at least this time it's a lot smoother than the last with Leva. I finished up sculpting the body of the doll and even sanding the body down after the whole epoxy sculpt appeared. I even worked on the head for the doll a while ago. Ignore the body. I did this first before the others. No, I didn't. I didn't do that part. What are you talking about? But I ended up not liking how I did it the first time. Just look at the shape. It looks so weird and all. I ended up destroying it and made a new head. Yeah, this is the new head. I ended up liking this a lot better than the last one. And then I decided to add this little detail on top of Renna's head. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe you guys can let me know what you thought about it. Now it's time for me to finally paint and body blush the face.
You mean like this?
No. I first started off sketching out where the face marking is going to be, just like a Kakuta. I added the paint onto where the sketching mark is, and after I painted all of that, I added a layer of Mr. Super Clear and added the body blush to her face. So I did just that, just like Leva. But unlike Leva, there was a few things a bit different that I did. I finally was able to use gouache. Yes, gouache. For the very first time after so many months, I have gouache to finally work on Renna's face. Not Leva. Leva and Renna sound so similar to each other. And I have to say, I freaking love gouache. Just look how bright it is on the doll. Oh my god, it's so good! But now it's time to paint her mantle on her head. And paint her head I shall, and hopefully I don't slowly move the head out of frame.
It's time to repay for my stupidity.
What?
Edit complete, now it's time to work on her body. I spray painted the body with the same color that I used for the face, and then I grabbed out my airbrush and started with the white first and added a couple of layers of white paint onto her stomach and legs. It's now time to add the color that I really wanted to add. A reddish pink color, and it's the best way I could describe it. And yes, I struggled with the airbrush on so many levels with this round. Stop pulling the plug down there, seriously!
Like seriously, man, I'm trying to play a video game here. Why are you like this?
I first start off with painting the area white. Wait, we already did this part. Just like the legs, I painted the belly with the color that I wanted, but instead of pink, it's gonna be yellow, which is a different color from pink. Did you know that yellow and red make orange? And once I was finally done with adding these colors to the area that I needed to add to her body, it was finally time for me, because I wanted to add the head back onto the body, like making a sandwich.
Taste like feet.
How does that make sense? And now I'm finally back to body blushing the whole doll. And unlike Leva, I'm gonna be doing her entire body. Because Renna doesn't wear clothes. She's a sea creature. She swims in the water. Why does she need clothes? That doesn't make sense. She's a sea creature. The body blushing was really fun on Renna. Unlike Leva, who is just like some area gonna be body blushing, Renna, I get the body blush her entire body. And after that, it was time to work on her legs and tail. And this was a long process to do. I mean, legs and tail took the longest. She had the biggest tail, unlike Leva. Renna's tail is so big, I don't need a stand to help Renna stand. Because the tail helped Renna to stand on her own. That's how big it is. Okay, so I glued on the legs and put it onto her head and started working on them. And while I was working on all of this, I realized she was missing something. And no, it's not the tail. The tail, I was working off camera. She was missing something. Oh yeah, her hands. So I worked on her hands, and her hand needed to be big. So I decided to sculpt them, and more sculpting. Oh my goodness, there's so much sculpting in this video. So I sculpted her hand to make them look big. And yes, one of her hands looked like a robotic hand. And then I added the painting and body blushing to her hands, and I did a pretty good job on both of them. I'll give myself a star. Just like that, everything is done. Well, not done yet. I still need to put everything together. So everything is done, but with her hands, I added more latex and paint to her legs, and I can finally attach her tail to her body and added latex and added paint over, everything else. You'll notice something a bit different with Renna. I didn't body blush her legs and tail because with Leva, I noticed that she was like cracking, and I didn't want that effect to happen on Renna as well. And as much as I wanted to body blush on top of her mantle, I decided to leave it like that. And with that, after everything I have done with Renna, I glossed her eyes, her nose, her lips, and areas that needed to be glossed like her toenails. And with that, everything was finally done.
Man, this video took a lot out of me. From finding the correct doll to getting them ready and all that process. This video was not only, it took long because of the doll, it took a lot of mental strain for me as well. However, the results in both of these dolls speak for themselves. I really like how they both turn out, and I want you guys to actually see what they look like. So let's get on to the final result. I'm just going to lay here and relax a little bit. So enjoy the final result. Bye.
that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you, Dragon, in the next video. Bye, Dragons!